Welcome back, you guys. So today is day 2 of Road to GM, and um, today's topic, or what I trained today, is basically Endgame, right? So the position you see on the screen right now is actually the position I learned in last Friday, I believe. So yeah, but I want to show this because today I do some exercises about the topic you will see in this game. Alright, so all the resource I take from this book. You can see it's Secrets, Secret of Secrets of Chess Training by Mark Duretsky. Alright, and I just started to learn it actually. So actually, the exercise I do is actually just the first exercise of this book. So yeah, I just started to read this book. Okay, so this is the analysis of adjourned positions. Alright, okay, so let's look at this position. So in this position, white pieces is Schuberg and black pieces is Tomatov. So in this position, the draw move is g4. Alright, so basically this is actually like an equal position. It's a rook and pawn endgame, 2 pawn versus 2 pawns. So yes. The move is g4 here. The most accurate move is g4. Well, the idea is like, first of all, we kind of prevent f5, and the idea is after rook c2, we want to go king g3, right? And our king would not be back ring cut off by the rook. And if king f4, okay, rook f8. Right after we trade the pawn, I mean after we take this pawn, it's just obviously a draw, right? We can get the Philidor position or Lucina position. I actually forgot. So basically, yeah, after like takes, rook takes f6, king g4, it's just totally draw, just a draw position. So that's the idea. In this position, he could also play king g2, right, with the same idea, not allowing the king to be driven back to the first rank. But Tomatov and the author of this book, Mark Duretsky, also tests carefully the move c6, which is not the most accurate move, but it's playable. Right, the position is still equal, but it gets really tricky. So rook c2 check. Good move. Now the king should go back to the first rank. King e1 was played in the game, and now king e3. So now obviously the threat is to checkmate. Alright, so king d1 should be played in this position just to attack this rook and then not allow the checkmate. Alright, in this position, so the engine top choice, just rook c5, and I mean engine just says like a 0-0 position, just a totally equal position. And after c7, e4, it's actually a draw. Well, the idea is if the rook move, we just take the pawn, right? But actually in this position, black is trying to win, right? Black's trying to win. Okay, how, I'll show later. So okay, after e4, there's 2 moves to survive a draw here. One of them is rook f8. Right, like I say, after you trade this pawn, should be a draw. Another one is g4. Rook c6, just defend f6 pawn, and then rook f8. So you take this, and I take this. Yeah, and then it's just totally draw. Well, so the topic of today, and I guess you guys see the topic of today, it's just right above me. So it's called setting up a trap. Right, so the move for black here, let me flip the board, is rook d2. Alright, so what I mean setting up a trap is you're not winning, but if opponent go wrong, then you're winning, right? So you're setting up a trap. You give opponent a chance to play a mistake. Right, so basically, let's say you play rook c5 here, and yeah, opponent just can draw it easily. Rook f8 is just the simplest move. Yeah, but opponent just draw it easily, right? So we're gonna give opponent a chance to go wrong. So rook d2 check in this position, and now okay, you can pause the video. It's white to play in this position, and king c1 or king e1, which is the best move? One of them is winning. One of them is losing, and one of them is draw. In the game, white chose the wrong place. Okay, so you can pause the video and try to find it. I'll give some seconds. Alright, so king c1 was played in the game, which is not good. The right move is actually king e1, and it actually looks not that natural because you are inviting opposition. So after rook g2, there's another checkmate threat. So after king f1, you give up another pawn. But the problem is, like I say, the f6 pawn, you can always win the f6 pawn, and it's just a draw. Yeah, it's just a draw. Right, that's the idea of king e1. So what's wrong with king c1? What's wrong with king c1? So the idea is, alright, there's one well-known theory which is rook behind the pawn. So that in this position, the rook is not behind the pawn. The rook is in front of the pawn. Right, in white perspective, that means the rook is kind of like stuck, you know, he's stuck to defend this pawn. So after c7, right, you can't move your rook. Right, let's say we attack this pawn, you can't move your rook, because after you move your rook, we can just take the pawn. So the right move here is rook d6. Then now you see what's wrong with king c1. You're putting your pawn same file to your king. So if you move your rook, then we just take your c pawn with a check. So c7 was played. Now we keep tying down the rook on c8. And now, okay, rook f8 would be a draw if rook takes c7 is not a check. So now it is winning because, well, I guess we can just defend this pawn and then win this pawn, and then we have just a passer. Right, so, and now, okay, if you don't move your rook, the threat is just easy, e4 and king f2, and you just push your pawn, push your pass pawn and become a queen. Okay, in the game, king b2 was played. The idea is he don't want to let black take the pawn with check, and now rook f8 is a threat. But okay, we just e4, rook f8 was played in the game. g4 might be better, or might create some chances for white to save. Unfortunately, there's rook f7 or rook e7, both are good. Well, the idea of rook f7 is just like, okay, we prevent rook f8. So still, you can't move your rook because we just take a c pawn. So you can't win our pawn. Okay, so let's say king f4, and now white gets a chance to, I don't know if it's draw or win, but white gets some chance because now you take with the pawn, there's rook f8 check. If you take with the king, there's rook g8 check, and then they promote. So this might give white some chances, but after f5, maybe, you know, maybe black is still okay because he's just defender, everything is just defender, and he has some passer. But I mean, this do give white some chances. And again, rook f8 was played. Well, just take this pass pawn, and now it's winning. Why it's winning? Because it is cut off. The king is cut off. Right. So we have just passer. This pawn is just too slow. Our pawn is just faster. So okay, rook g7 was played, trying to win the last pawn. Rook c6. Alright, actually the best move here is king c2. I mean, it's still winning for black, but again, it still have some chances. Right, basically, just trying to create some miracle. So why king c2 is best move? The idea is after rook takes g3, and now you get this position. It's actually a draw. King d1, king c2, and if king f3, okay, just go here and prevent e3 check. Now you see why rook e6 is so strong. If you go rook e1, the idea is to go king f2, just rook h6, and now we can start giving some check. You move your king, we just bring our king to d2. Right, I mean, but after this one, we have this move, king e2, and it's just winning for black. It's still winning for black. In the game, rook c6 is play. Well, I guess the idea is trying to prevent rook c7 to cut off the king. Okay, now just take. Rook c3 check, king f4. Okay, now in this position, the king is still cut off, and we have this passer, so it's just totally winning. And white resign. White resign. Okay, so this is the game. Alright, so I'm gonna show 4 position, right? 4 exercise for you. So just give me some second. Alright, so this is the position. Alright, so it's black to play. And okay, it's actually completely losing. But like I say, so in this position it's basically like it's like you're completely losing. So basically you have only like 1% or even 0.1% to win the game. So you need to play a move which gives you maybe more percent, like maybe 10% to win the game, right? If opponent play the right move, well, you're losing, right? So I mean, you're nothing to lose. So the question is how to set a trap here. Set a trap here. Alright, just set a trap here. I mean, if your opponent play the best move, you're still losing. But just trying to give your opponent a chance to go wrong. That's the idea. Yeah, that's the idea. So like I say, so again, I'll give some seconds for you to pause the video and try to think if you want. Alright, so let me say the answers, right? Alright. So the answer is actually king b7. Alright, wait a second. Okay, so king b7 is actually losing. So basically, what is white threat here? He's threatening takes and e7, right? And then you can't stop him to promote. Alright, so how you think about this position? First of all, this is white threat. Rook takes c8. Alright, let's see. If you give some check, if you go to this way, you can just get a perpetual check. d1 also you can get a check. So the only way for white to not get perpetual is he want to go e5. Right? So even if he go to d1, you give a check, he still need to go to the e5. Right? But you can see there's an e pawn. So at some point, if after he takes, or let's say the king is not in check, you can take, and now you can attack the e pawn with a check, right? Because if you give a check, they don't, of course they're winning, they don't want a perpetual check, they will go to e5, right? If you go to this way, you can just keep checking him, right? Because there's no way for him to escape on the queen side, so you just have perpetual check. So they have to go to e5, right, like this. Then you takes and give a check. you take, and let's say you push, and you can give a check. That's the idea. So in this position, it's actually losing. Why? Because like he has this idea. Unfortunately, if you take, he queen first, we check. So, alright, so king c7. Oh, by the way, rook g2, king e1 also wins with the same idea. So, king c7 doesn't work because of this. Alright, why king c7? Basically, we want to unpin, and the idea is if you push, now, okay, we save the game actually. If you promote, we take. You take with the bishop, the rook is hanging. If you take with the rook, the bishop is hanging. It's actually a draw. We even up a pawn, right? So that's the idea. And you know, after king d6, king takes e7, maybe black can save a draw. So the best move is actually just takes, and e7. So this takes with check. So that's why black pieces here in this position play king b7. Alright, so this game is between Rudifer, I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrongly, versus Doretsky, right, the author of this book. So yes, and okay, so in this position, without thinking, white reply with rook takes c8. Right, the winning move is e7. The idea is after bishop d7, your king is not on c7, so it means your bishop is on defenders. Now there's this move, rook d8. And next move is just promote. Right? We're attacking your bishop. Yeah, next move. Oh, you even can't save the square actually. There's no way for you to to still defend the e8 square. Alright, so king c7, we can just take and promote, yeah? This is just completely winning. That's the idea. Alright, this doesn't work. Right? Why? Because it's just defender. We just take. Alright, so unfortunately, that's the art of setting up a trap in a completely losing position. And now he actually saved it. Right? That's like a miracle. Why? Because of check. So like I say, if your king go to d1, c1, or c3, we just keep checking you. So let's say you go here, check. Right? Doesn't matter where you go, check. Alright, even if you go to b2, check. You can't block with the bishop because your bishop is control the e8 square, so we can take e7, king d7, and we save the game. Right, c1 is just the same thing, check. d1 is just the same thing, check. You have to go to eval. I'm sorry. You have to go to the e file eventually. King e1 here, doesn't matter. King e1 here, king e3, or king d1. And now king e2 doesn't matter, doesn't really matter. Right, so the idea is when the king go to the e file, okay, we take. And now you see why. Because of the check, sorry, because of the push, we check. And now we're winning here. You can't promote. You have to defend a pawn with rook e8 or rook c6, doesn't really matter. Rook e8 here, king c7, and now we just like we can win this pawn easily. We can even just push our pawn. It's just a draw. Oh, there's one more thing actually. There's one more thing. So let's say here. All right, there's rook c6. In this position, actually the only it's just only move to save the game, which is rook g4, but it's quite logical, right? The idea is to go rook e4 check, and I mean we can just, well, the king is cut off, and then we just easily save the game like this, or even just take something. I don't know. Maybe take is good enough to go rook e4, and then we even have two passer. Right, so that's how you save the game actually. Yeah. And then he just saved a draw. So when you set the trap, you know, maybe maybe there'll be a miracle. Maybe there's some miracle happen. Never try, never know, right? So although it's completely losing, but you just try to have more winning chances. Or another way to say it is you you play a move which opponent have more chance to go wrong. Yeah. Alright, let's go to the next position. Wait a second. Alright, position. Again, it's black to play. So this game is played by Yusupov versus Zapata. Alright, again, it's black to play. Right, again, you can pause the video if you want. So again, it's just a completely losing position because we are down wait a second. Alright, so in this position we're down a pawn, and it's just too bad, like after he trades the rook, his pieces just much activated than our pieces. And maybe he can play some bishop e7, bishop c7 to trade rooks, and then just totally winning. So the move here is rook d7. Like I say, it's just totally losing. We just give opponent more chance to lose the game. Sorry, to go wrong, right? So the trap is after bishop c6. Now we play. You can pause the video if you want. Rook takes d6. Now you see the rook is defending this bishop, so we go bishop f8. And surprisingly, you can't defend this bishop. Only square is rook f6, but then just bishop e7. You have no square to keep defending this bishop. Like if you take, yeah, your upper pawn is a different color bishop. It's just dead draw. Yeah, that's the trap. But in the game, white of course didn't fall in that. Right, white pieces is Yusupov. He's a very strong player. He know that. He played bishop a6. Bishop c is also playable, but we just repeat. Alright, you have to go bishop b7. You can't go bishop a6 because of bishop c6. Now we kick a rook. So your rook have to go to somewhere which is undefended. Right, on d5 the rook is defended, but now the rook is undefended. So there's some tricks like bishop f8, but there's bishop b4, save the game. So maybe you can play bishop h6 first. Rook d3, sorry, rook d3 is the only move. Now we go bishop f8. Unfortunately, white can still survive with c5. Now the rook is defended. So I don't know. Maybe this could. Maybe white is still winning. Yeah, but just bishop a6, And after f6 was what played in the game. He played bishop d8, bishop b8 to attack this pawn, rook e7, rook d8, and so on. He win the game easily. Right. So the best move is bishop f6. Actually, it's still, maybe still, of course, still much better for white. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Grandmaster can just convert it easily. In the game, f6 happened, and then he win the game eventually. So yeah, the point is, we are setting up a trap and provoke bishop c6. Then we can save the draw like this. If opponent didn't fall for the trap, it's fine. You're losing, so doesn't really matter, right? So, all right, let's go to the next example. Just wait a second. Alright, here's the position. Alright, again, it's black to play. You can pause the video if you want. So basically, white is just gonna take this pawn for sure. So the only way we create miracle here is somehow we take this pawn, we win this pawn, and then we have a passer, and then it's a winning rook and pawn endgame because this king is too far. So either we cut off the king like this, or maybe after take it we cut off the king like this. I don't know. Right, and then after we take this pawn, we can create some miracle. Okay, by the way, this game was played by Alexandria versus Litinskaya. Alright, so in the game, rook f1 was played, I think, yeah. But after king takes g7, there's no way you win. King f6. And then they agree to a draw, I think. Yeah, they agree to a draw. Yeah, because there's a draw. Let's say takes. Alright, it's draw. That's the idea. So white was trying to go here, tie down your king or your rook. If you take d pawn, he take your e pawn. So the best way, or to set a trap, rook f6 is the move here. Alright, so the idea is after takes, king g5 doesn't work because after rook c6, rook c3, we just win a pawn, and actually black's winning. So you have to take, and now rook c6 was the move. Actually, my answer is rook d6, which is not correct. Well, I thought after king here, king c3, king e7, and we takes and we win, right? But king e7 is losing, but the right move for white is just attack your pawn, or rook g5 even, right? Just attack your pawn, and then after trade it's just that draw. So the move is actually rook c6. We want to go rook c3, right? So in the game, oh sorry, not in the game. So rook g5 is basically the only move to survive. Why? Let's say you play king f7, actually you lose. Why? Because of rook c3. Actually, why I play rook d6, my idea is like to attack this pawn and keep cutting off the king, right? Because of the rook c3, I thought he can play king e6, but the point of this move is we have e4, and again we're winning. Just we can just push the pass, so we're winning. Right, that's the point of rook c6, rook c3 to e4. Right, and this is the trap. This is the trap. Okay, but if white find the only move, which is rook g5, again the idea is he takes, and then you have to take the draw. Right. Alright, let's go to the next position. So the trap is king f7 and rook c3. This is the trap. If opponent play good, like I say, you have to. This is, yeah. You know, there's no way to win. You have to take a draw. Wait a second. So let me go to the last position. Alright, this is the last position. Again, you can pause the video if you want. So it's black to play again. Alright, and the move is king g1. You have to move your king, because if you push a pass pawn, just king f2, and this is just pointless. You can't push a pass pawn. Alright, white king g1. Bishop c6 also could be played because you're provoking knight here and knight d6. But why? You give white a chance to attack your bishop, right? And then he can save the draw actually with b7 takes. The knight just saved the game, saved the pawn in time. So bishop c6 is not the move. King g1 is the move. Why? I mean, this pawn can't be pushed. Why we go bishop c6? So we give them a chance to attack our bishop, right? So in this position, it's only move for white. I'll tell you the move later. So in the game, knight a5 was played, which is the wrong move. And knight c5 and knight d6 also lose as well. Alright, so what is the idea? So after king g1, knight c5 or knight d6 doesn't really matter, it's just the same thing. Now we go bishop c6. So it's basically the same position. If we go here, basically the same thing. And we go king g1. But like I said, bishop c6, you give them a chance to attack your bishop, and then just push the pawn. Knight d8 was a very easy move because you attack your bishop, and b7 comes. So king g1 is the right move here. Alright, let's say knight c6 or knight d6, doesn't matter. Now we bring the bishop to c6. What is the idea? Well, imagine if we push our pawn to h2, how white stop the pawn? He have to bring his knight to f3. So with bishop c6, we control the future fork, and we can push the pawn. So let's say you take, now the knight can't defend the pawn from queening. And so let's say you play like this, check. No, we just take. That's the idea. Alright, knight c5 and knight d6 is just totally same thing. In the game, knight a5 was played. The idea is to prevent bishop c6, but now just go bishop c8. Again, b7 is the same thing. So in the game, he played knight c4, h3, knight e5. The idea is h2, knight here, but we just go king g2. King g2 is a good move, right? And then white resign, right? Actually, white resign. The idea is you have two moves here, knight f3 and knight g4. Doesn't matter. We can't take because of b7. So now we go king g3 to attack your knight. Knight f2 only move. h2, king e2, king e2, king g2. And after, doesn't matter, king e1 or king e3, we go bishop a6. Is a zugzwang. You can't move your knight because we're queen. You can't move your king because the king needs to defend the knight. You have no square. If you push a pawn, alright. Right, just wait. Still zugzwang. And king e1 is just same thing, bishop a6. Cut off the king. The knight can't move. The king can't move because of the knight hangs. Is a win. So if let's say knight f3 was playing the game to prevent h2, okay, we just remove the defender of h2 square. Bishop b7. Right, and it's just winning. Knight f3 we just take, and queen. Let's say go knight f5. The idea is trying to go knight g3. Alright, h2. Alright, king g2. King f4. We just need a waiting move. Alright, so knight can't move because you need to guard the h1 square. So to make it zugzwang, we need to. So the king only squares g4 to protect the knight and f4. So bishop c8. Now just control the square. The king can't move because the knight fall. The knight can't move because just push the pawn, and just totally same thing. We just wait and winning. Zugzwang. Yeah. So basically, this is a trap, right? I mean, basically, in such position, it's very hard to play because there's so many choice for you. It's very hard to go wrong. Sorry, I mean, it's very hard to play the best way. It's very easy to go wrong. So like what Magnus say, if you give your opponent many chance, so I forgot what he says actually, but I think he say if you give your opponent 10 choice and 2 of them is good, 8 of them is bad, and then your opponent can easily go wrong. Yeah, and that is Magnus Endgame rule, I guess. So yeah, so alright, let's look at the right move here. The right move is knight d8 to prevent bishop c6. Now you have to stop this. So now the way to save it is knight f7 or knight e6, just the same thing. The idea is to go knight g5, attack this pawn, and then knight f3. And knight e6 is just the same thing. You can't take because of b7, you lose. So you have to do right, h3, and then just totally same thing. h3 check, and then we take the pawn. It's a draw. Right, unfortunately, in the game, knight a5 was played, and then white lost. Yeah, so that's all for today. Right, so that's all for today. So wait, so basically, after bishop c8, knight e5, king g2, and in this position, white resigned the game. Yeah, so that's all for today. I hope you enjoy it, and yeah, I just started to read this book. I will read it in February, I think, And in March, I will read another book. It's also Endgame, I think. Yeah. So basically, there's many things in this book. There's candidate move, method of execution, intermediate moves, taking account of opponent's resource, traps. What we learned today, traps, calculation of variations, exchanges, placing the pieces, maneuvering, regrouping, pawn play, pawn structure, prophylaxis, strategic thought, planning, intuition, positional feel. Yeah. And so just stay tuned. Bye.